Hello everyone, Chris Knowles here, and I'm very excited that I have a very special guest with me today, Dr. Sherri Henderson. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So, we've talked a bit yesterday, but you have a story, especially when it comes to the heart. Tell our viewers, what is your story?
So one day I was coming from work and I started experiencing heart tightness. And I began to check all of the boxes that a normal person would have if they were having a heart incident. Mm-hmm. And what happened to me was basically SCAD, which is a spontaneous coronary artery dissection. Mm-hmm. I pulled over, I called 911, and they pinged my phone and found me. And the Nashville Police Department and Fire Department and an EMT showed up. They took me to the hospital, and on my way to the hospital, I actually flatlined.
Wow, so let's back up a bit. When you were in the car, what symptoms, what did you start to feel?
So I noticed right away that I was very tired. Initially, I just thought I was tired. I thought I was tired, sleepy, hungry, right? I had all of these symptoms, and I just began to remember what that checklist looks like. You know, your jaw, your arm. I started experiencing just an overwhelming amount of tiredness. And I knew then that I was in trouble. And the final symptom I had, I felt like I was getting ready to vomit, sort of like a projectile vomit. And I said, oh boy, I'm in trouble and I need to call 911.
Well, so you were able to call 911 and they were able to come and find your car?
Yes, and I just began to look around where I was, and I gave them as much information as I could because I wasn't sure how long I would actually be able to communicate. And so I shared where I was, and they sent someone right away to get me.
So what started happening to you then? And remember yesterday you shared that you started to feel your body disconnect.
I really began to feel my spirit disconnect from my body.
Wow.
It was such an out-of-body experience. As I was laying on the gurney in the ambulance, I really felt my spirit peel away from my physical body. And I just lifted up my hands and I said, thank you, Lord, for this life you gave me.
Wow.
Because I've lived an extraordinary life. But I did experience the spirit realm, and I did feel my spirit actually leave my body. And while I was out, I did not know this because I was out. They administered CPR, and I did not come back. They shocked me with an AED, and I did not come back. And Patrick Lee, the EMT here in Nashville, said he decided to do one more round of CPR, and I came back.
Wow.
And when I came back, I said, I'm here, I'm fine. And he said, ma'am, no, you are not. You were gone, you flatlined. And I came back thanking and praising God because I knew what I had just experienced was something powerful, and only something higher than me could have brought me back.
So when you said your body went into the spirit realm,
yes.
What did you start to see then? Were you able to see anything?
I did. I was able to hear voices, see things that I had experienced before, loved ones. And I also heard things in the spirit realm. And it was really a beautiful experience because we hear about it or we talk about it in our ecumenical settings, but the reality of it is life after death.
Wow. And you actually experienced that.
I experienced it personally. And even when my body my spirit re-entered my body, I felt that as well.
Really? What did it feel like?
It just felt like such a charge of energy, sort of like a whoosh. Your spirit man is coming back into your body. And even afterwards, several days, and even now, I can see things in the spirit realm, and I can experience things in the spirit realm.
I remember you told me it was something like white glitter.
Yeah, I saw sort of like a glitter, sort of like crystals. Everyone always says, did you see the bright light? I said, no, people see the bright light, probably won't come back.
Yeah.
Not to this, right?
Wow.
But I did see in the spirit realm sort of like glitter and crystals in the atmosphere.
So you actually died
I actually died
and came back.
and came back.
Wow.
To God be the glory.
Wow. And so
Yes.
tell me about the journey, pick up where we were at. You said that they did CPR and was it Patrick Lee?
Patrick Lee, the EMT, I am longing to reconnect with him. Patrick Lee, he has on his right arm, he has a large tattoo of a cross. And I remember as I was coming back, he was on top of me administering CPR, and he was going to town. He was trying to bring me back to life. And that's the first thing I saw. He has a cross on his right arm. And as I was coming into the ER, they were shocked that it was me because they had already radioed that I was non-responsive.
Wow.
And I remember one of the nurses looking over at me and saying, "Is that her? You know, is that the person who was just gone, the person that was non-responsive?" And the ER doctor over at Ascension, he asked if we could go into prayer. And we immediately went into prayer,
wow.
thanking and praising God for my life. He proclaimed that, you know, God was not through with me yet. And the doctors were bewildered. This was the doctor.
Wow.
This was the ER physician. And they were baffled. They were baffled because at that time when I was in the ER, all of my symptoms were stable. I was back stable. So they said something caused her heart to stop.
So they're trying to figure out because they're not seeing any trace of what could have caused your heart to stop at this moment.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then they immediately, Dr. Todd Dorfman, we went into a heart catheterization to identify what actually made her heart stop. And they said, you know, do you have sleep apnea? And they were asking me all of these questions, and they said, she wasn't asleep, you know, she was awake. And during the heart catheterization, they determined that I had SCAD.
Wow.
It was spontaneous coronary artery dissection, which I was not familiar with at the time. And to my knowledge, there are very few people. We have a SCAD group, and there's a small percentage of us who actually live and are able to tell our story through Vanderbilt, Dr. Catherine Lindley and Lauren Wells. We have a SCAD support group because from that incident, you experience anxiety, you relive your death,
Sure.
you see so many things, you have so many triggers, even as I'm driving along the freeway, if there's a lot of traffic or if there's an ambulance or if someone is in in distress, all of those things trigger. And that's why I wrote the book, because the heart conditions book actually became something that I utilized to work through the process of healing.
Right. So SCAD, that's where the artery dissected.
Yes.
And you said that came from a heart condition.
Right, and that heart condition for me was stress, because during the heart catheterization, it was determined that I did not have any clots. I had no blockage. And it was just basically an overwhelming amount of stress that I was entertaining in my life all these years. And so in the book, I talk about, it's called a self-examination of the heart. Because oftentimes as women, during the month of October, they'll give us the self-examination cards for breast cancer, but there's nothing to help you identify what's in your heart. And so I wrote this book so that women and men alike could begin to look at what's actually in your heart. And in the book, there are 10 scriptures and words of motivation that we meditate on for 3 days. And it turns into a 30-day journal of a self-examination of the heart.
Wow. Wow. So it's the same way you may check yourself out for another condition. You go through the checklist, okay, I need to check this, check that. For the heart, you need to do the same thing, and that's one thing that I think many people, we probably look over.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in the book, one of the scriptures that I mentioned is guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows the issue of life. And in those 3 days, we look at the foundation, all of the things in your life that you have failed to guard your heart from, whether it's disappointment, breakup, heartache, divorce, grief, fear, anxiety, all of those things. We're so busy in our day-to-day lives that we rarely even have time to guard our heart.
Wow.
And so in the book, I talk about, let's address all of those things that you have allowed to filter through your heart all this time. So it's the foundation, the revelation, and the application of that one word. And then the revelation is, how is this revealing itself in your life today? What grief, what disappointment, what hurt, what fears are we experiencing right now? And then application, how are we going to use that same word for our future and to become better stewards of what we allow in our heart? Because some things just take up residency in our heart that doesn't belong there. And over the years, I have personally experienced, of course, like we all have, grief, divorce, fears, disappointments, and without realizing it, because we just move on to the next thing that life has to offer, those things had taken residency in my heart, causing that artery to actually rupture.
Wow.
The stress of it all.
Wow. So many people think it's only when it comes to your diet or genetic conditions and things like that, but the psychological things can have such an impact, a physical impact on your heart, your organs, and your body.
Oh, absolutely. The psychological, the emotional, all of those things are so connected to one another, and we have to take some time to examine our heart.
Wow. And you said that this was an act of God, that you are alive, and as well as Patrick, CPR. Tell me, why is CPR so important? He chose to do it one more time after they had already said, we've done all we could do, pretty much.
Yeah. CPR is so important. I had already learned CPR years ago. I've done a lot of work with the American Heart Association. I've been American Heart Association Heart Hero prior to this for 20 years.
Wow.
So I was well aware of the importance of CPR and the importance of knowing what those symptoms are. And so I would encourage everyone to learn CPR.
And at the school,
Yes.
at the middle school, and you're an educator, correct?
Yes, I'm an educator, and I've been an educator over 20 years. And it's so important that students know CPR, because the majority of the heart incidents will take place at home. So most of the time you're with a family member. So it's important for staff, students, and everyone really to learn CPR so that you're prepared in the event of a heart incident. And so we're launching our new Facebook page, Heart Conditions, and our website, heartconditions.org, so that we can become more connected with the community and individuals who want to learn about making heart healthy choices.
All right. Well, listen, I sure thank you so much for coming on. And viewers, check out that website and that Facebook page, Heart Conditions. Is it .org?
Yes, heartconditions.org.
Heartconditions.org, because we never know what's sitting inside of our hearts. And sometimes we need a simple examination of the heart to save your life in this instance. So again, Dr. Henderson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
and thank
you
you
for
all
having
so
me.
much for watching.